I was raised in a good Christian family. My father was a deacon, and my mother was in the choir. Was saved when I was 7. After that, I went on my own way a little bit. Always had questions. I've always been a questioner. Took me down some dark roads that I probably shouldn't have went to. I got to where I called myself an agnostic because I couldn't prove that God existed. That was along the same times as the internet was coming along, and free time at college between classes, I would go in the library and ask questions on chat rooms, and they would answer your questions, but it wasn't the answers that were true. It was answers that they had come up with just like me. They had just come up with them themselves, and I knew that at the time, but it sounded good to me. Even though I did not believe at the time, I had married a good Christian woman, and she was constantly telling me that I was wrong, and she was right. I don't like to admit that, though, so that drove me a little bit further away at the time. We'd started going back to church. I was going, but I wasn't really believing still. But I did find a pastor that was there at the little church we were going to that would talk to me about anything, wouldn't judge me, would just let me speak, and he would tell me the truth. She bought me, my wife, bought me a apologetics Bible. She asked me if she could, and I said, sure. I started taking it to church, and when the pastor would read a verse, while he was preaching, I was looking at the explanation of what that verse meant. It was like those sermons were lined up to speak to me. Almost every question I ever had was brought up in those sermons right after I got that Bible. And in January of 2011, I just had an experience with God that shocked me, that I had asked for years, and he finally provided. After I'd already nearly came back, he provided that final push and said, you want to believe? Here it is. And from that point on, I really started getting back in. Went every Sunday that she did. Never made an excuse not to go. I was bad about making excuses not to go before that. The Sundays that I didn't go, the rest of the week, I was a different person. I didn't see things the same way. So 10 years down the road, started getting back into the small groups. The one that really made a change in my life was the freedom. I can't even explain the way that it affected me. There were things that had control over my life for years that I was able to let go and have not went back to them. So now, constantly think about what I'm thinking about. A lot of times the thoughts that were coming into my head, and still do, I know they're coming from Satan or they're coming from me, and they sound a lot alike sometimes. But you know the ones that are coming from God. Never give up. Never give up on God. If I turned around from where I was, there is hope for anybody in your life, including yourself, that they will find God. Because I was far gone. I was running and picking up speed. But there's always hope. And God is that hope. Jesus is that hope.